Hi everyone, Brendan Houdek here. Welcome to our Voice Breakdown Halloween special. Viewer beware, it's a spooky one. Enjoy. What? Where am I? Oh man, this isn't good. Where am I?
Hello, Brendan. I want to play a game.
A game? Well, what kind of game? Like Yahtzee? Or Monopoly? I don't think I have the time for that.
No, not that kind of game. Can you not interrupt? I had a whole speech planned and you're just ruining it.
I'm sorry. Proceed.
As I was saying, I want to play a game. All your life, you have been breaking down voices so that others can imitate those voices. Now you must put that skill to the test. Can you break down my voice? You must break down my voice in less than 7 minutes, or else.
Or else what? You're gonna hurt me?
No, don't be ridiculous. I'm not a monster. This is just a game.
Oh, well, okay. But I don't think I could break down your voice with my hands tied behind my back like this.
Oh, they're not tied.
What? Seriously?
I never said they were.
Alright, well, when does the countdown begin?
It already has.
What? That's not fair.
When the clock strikes 0, game over.
What clock?
Oh, it's under that blanket there. The clock is ticking, Brendan.
Oh, come on, that's not fair. Alright, let's break this voice down. Component number 1, the vocal cords. The work of the vocal cords and their surrounding structures is actually the most important aspect for Jigsaw's voice. John Kramer, the true identity of Jigsaw, is an older man who is also very sick, near death.
Come on, John.
Because of this, his voice is one which has this broken up and failing quality to it. Somehow this weak voice is actually incredibly intimidating. Now, if you have watched past videos, you might think that to get that breathy quality, that you need to decompress the vocal cords. That's a decent guess, but if I only do that, his voice sounds a bit like this. I want to play a game. That's almost soothing rather than the more distressed quality that he has. So what's the deal? How do we get a breathy yet constrained sound at the same time? I introduce to you the false vocal cords. The false vocal cords, also known as the false vocal folds, the vestibular folds, or the ventricular folds, are structures that sit just above the true vocal folds. We don't typically use these when speaking, but we can. If we bring them together and blow air through them, we get a sort of growl. So we can do the true chords by themselves, E, E. The false chords by themselves, or do both sounds together. That growl you hear is definitely too strong for Jigsaw, but it helps to know how to do that muscle coordination to its fullest extent. For Jigsaw, we need to just pull the false chords in a little bit. Instead of we want This gets a bit tricky here, but you can then choose how much of the true vocal cords you want to put in there. Since his voice is really struggling, there are a great deal of inconsistencies in his voice, so you can vary this. But you can choose to put full vibration of the true vocal cords, a more decompressed version of the vocal cords, or maybe something we call a vocal fry. All while still doing slight false vocal cord action. Play around with all the different combinations of this and remember that it's okay to be inconsistent with this. It will actually make it sound more natural. Component number 2, the larynx. The larynx for Jigsaw is going to be fairly neutral. You could lower it a bit depending on your natural positioning of your own larynx. He certainly does not have a high larynx, however, so try to stay away from a raised positioning of the larynx. There isn't too much to worry about with this component. That being said, oftentimes when Jigsaw is speaking on a recording, as opposed to the in-person scenes with him, his voice sometimes has a bit of a distortion. The recordings are usually done with poor audio quality to make the scene even scarier. The guy could create thousands of intricate mechanical traps, but couldn't figure out how to take a decent recording. While that distortion is actually accomplished by effects that can be used after recording, you can manipulate the larynx a bit to simulate the morphing of that voice. Instead of saying,
I want to play a game,
we could lower the larynx and say,
I want to play a game.
Component number 3, the tongue. We have mentioned in the past how the front of the tongue can move independently of the back of the tongue. See episode 1 for more of an explanation on that. As we discussed with component number 1, there's a great deal of inconsistency in Jigsaw's voice, as it has this broken up, belabored quality. Sometimes the voice will be a bit darker in its resonance. One way to accomplish this could be lowering the larynx, but another way is to pull the back of the tongue down slightly.
I want to play a game.
Versus,
I want to play a game. I want to play a game.
versus,
I want to play a game.
Component number 4, the soft palate. This is another one that can vary depending on whether you're trying to do a scene of John Kramer in person, or when he is speaking on a recording or through Billy the Puppet. The more raised you make it, the darker and more morphed it will sound, like it does when coming through a recording. In the in-person scenes, however, you can definitely hear some of that nasal resonance, so be sure to lower the soft palate a bit to allow sound to enter into the nasal cavity. Component number 5, articulation. One of the things that makes Jigsaw or John Kramer so terrifying is that he is an incredibly intelligent and articulate man. He has an incredible vocabulary and strings words together almost poetically. Thus, his articulation must be clear and precise. Despite the vocal quality itself sounding broken and sloppy, his enunciation is very clear. Feel each and every sound that you speak and allow one sound to flow into the next. Component number 6, prosody. This ties into the articulation we spoke of. There is a great flow to his inflection. He also has a habit of either saying fairly short phrases or quite the opposite, very long and complicated phrases. He will begin with the short phrases with ample pausing in between to build suspense. Then, when he wants to really drive his main point home and intimidate the person he's talking to, he begins to speak with a flurry of words very quickly, sometimes almost so intensely that it's hard to keep up. Let's recap. Component number 1, the vocal cords. We want to engage the false vocal cords just a bit to get that fatigued and breathy, yet squeezed sound. Component number 2, the larynx. Not too much to worry about here, just make sure the larynx isn't high. Also, manipulate it as you see fit to create some of those darker tones. Component number 3, the tongue. You can lower the back of the tongue slightly for Jigsaw's voice. Component number 4, the soft palate. We need some nasal resonance to do his true voice, but if you're trying to emulate one of his lo-fi recordings, you can raise the soft palate just a bit to darken up the sound. Component number 5, articulation. Be sure to have very precise articulation. Component number 6, prosody. Jigsaw has a very flowing intonation that is almost poetic in nature. Also, make sure to take advantage of saying lots of words very quickly or few words very slowly to build suspense. And I did it!
Congratulations, Brendan. You've passed the test.
Would anything have even happened if I didn't pass the test?
Honestly, no. Truthfully, I just really like your show, and as you might imagine, I don't have a lot of friends, so I just wanted to spend some time with you.
Alright, so I'm free to go? I'm out of here.
Brendan, wait! Do you think you can maybe teach me Mark Hamill's Joker voice? Or Christopher Walken? Yeah, Christopher Walken! Or